My name is Mike Monnin. I am Director of Sales here at CLOOS. My experience in the industry goes back to my first jobs out of college. So started in robotic automation, initially programming robots, and worked my way up through the application of that technology and ultimately into the promotion and sales role for automation. For the past 10 years or so, it's been very particular to robotic arc welding. And so that's what I brought in here to CLOOS to grow our business. So CLOOS is a German company, started in welding, but in acetylene torch welding. So a much different start than where that technology has gone. Obviously now it's arc welding, so electric arc welding is the core of what the company does. They started making machines for doing that in the 50s and advanced that technology to semi-automation and then automation. And then in the 80s, when robots came on the scene, CLOOS decided they needed to be producing their own robots. So now a company that's over 100 years old is producing the welding technology that's core to robotic welding, but also the robot technology, and then all the pieces in between. So you need to be able to transport the part to and from the robot. We've got that covered. You need to position the part for the robot, 1, 2-axis, 3-axis, whatever's necessary to present the weld properly to the robot. We have that covered as well. And then on the robot side, anything necessary to move the robot to, from, and around the part is also covered by CLOOS. So that legacy of really covering a large range of access to the part, positioning of the part, but dealing with large weldments is really where the legacy of the company resides. So one of CLOOS's approach to the industry is to be the expert, right? To help companies, whether they're very knowledgeable on robotic welding and they're looking to do the next thing, or whether this is their first cobot or robot welder. So we take an approach that's very consultative, right? We're all engineers, including myself. We take the approach of problem solving to the customer, looking at aspects of how material moves to and from the robot, as well as the process of welding, which is the obvious one, right? This is what we do. Historic CLOOS customers are heavy equipment, right? So they're putting down a lot of material. We're talking about cycle times that are parts of a day or days to finish these products. So it's really about managing that process from start to finish and optimizing that process to deliver when things aren't exactly in the right position, right? If you're working with a pre-tacked weldment, those components are not always going to be in the same space. So a lot of what CLOOS does is come in, find the component that needs to be welded, and then use tracking to keep the torch in the joint. We're putting down a lot of material, so this is either multi-pass welding or it involves our tandem technology. So 2 active wires pouring weld material into the joint to finish the project. In the brain of one of our sales guys, you can imagine this whole library of possible solutions to a problem and how these things piece together to solve a particular customer's problem is really what they're actively doing with the customer. And that's very interactive, right? That's not us taking your information, going into a dark room and figuring this stuff out. It's really a very interactive process of, okay, you said your part's this big, and the welds are over here. Could we flip the part manually to save you a few dollars, right, instead of positioning the part? So it's that kind of conversation to find not only something that will get the job done and deliver very consistent, high-quality welds, but what fits their budget. There's a bit of an issue in material suppliers within our industry. Very often these are companies that are owned by larger welding organizations. So in reality, They have optimized their material for their technology, not necessarily the best situation for the customer who's looking for the best results at the best value. So in NS ARC, we find somebody who's in simpatico with what we do here at CLOOS, which is kind of put the blinders on a bit, focus very tightly in on the customer's problems, and deliver the best possible solution. Obviously for welding, it involves the weld material, it involves the weldment itself. NS ARC's approach to look at a problem and solve what needs to be solved to deliver really excellent quality welds is exactly what we intend to do here at CLOOS as well, right? So that relationship with the customer, that problem solving, in many cases, our customers have lost their ability to engineer. They've got an aging workforce. A lot of the folks that are, over my age are out the door, and you've got young people coming in, a little less experienced, so they're looking for somebody to come in and provide that direction, right? That level of expertise that helps them decide how best to execute their project. So weld quality is maybe the most important thing. That's the root of what we're trying to accomplish here. So we're talking about structures or equipment that sees very rough duty. If you're talking about mining equipment, construction equipment, or structural steel that's going into buildings, there's a safety aspect relative to welds that can't be ignored, right? In a lot of weld process specifications, it's defined in black and white. This is what you must achieve. So how you get there could be multiple paths, but the ultimate goal or that bar you need to clear is that weld process specification. So corners can't be cut, material has to be on point, and how that weld is delivered has to meet those requirements. One of the maybe biggest challenges in automated welding is you're moving a mass amount of weld wire through the torch and to the weld. So if anything happens in that feed system, it's downtime for the customer. And downtime in our customer's case is thousands of dollars a minute. So they can't afford a situation where the equipment is down unexpectedly. They can certainly do preventative maintenance at scheduled times to get on problems before they actually stop production, but feed issues are critical for robotic welding. So getting the wire from the source, whether that's drum or spool, to the torch is very critical. There's a system in there that involves tight tolerances. Any kind of residue or flaking on the wire is going to bring the whole process to its knees, which is very frustrating because you're talking about a couple $100 feed system bringing a $500,000 or $1 million piece of automation to its knees. So for a robotics guy, that's a very frustrating situation to have to deal with. So with NS ARC and their process of preparing the wire and the construction of the wire, very resistant to flaking, very little residue coming off of the wire. Another thing you have to be concerned about with robotic welding is the cast of the wire, right? As it comes out of the barrel, if that comes out inconsistently, that's going to lead to reduced weld quality and even worse, maybe potentially downtime on the system to get material swapped out. So spending a few extra dollars to have very consistent material feeding into the system is going to keep it up and running longer. One more thing there relative to wire consistency is consumable life. So if you're putting a lot of foreign material into the feed system and it's building up in there, that feed system is going to become much more inefficient and prone to downtime. Another aspect is contact tip life. So contact tip is what delivers the energy to the wire to turn it from solid to liquid. So anything that gets in the way of reducing the lifetime of that consumable tip is going to result in more downtime. The marriage of NS ARC and CLOOS, this partnership is something that's going to expand capability. So now we have access to world-class welding material, and NS ARC has access to our world-class robotic welding automation. So we are going to raise the tide for everybody by looking at things like contact tip and how to expand that life. Different chemistries that deliver better weld quality when you're using our tandem approach, pouring 2 wires into a weld joint. So it's an exciting future. Really looking forward to what this partnership is going to deliver. And I think it'll be unparalleled within our industry to have 2 of the top companies in each of their respective technologies cooperating to raise the bar for our customers. At FabTech, we introduced a new product that we believe is going to change the game for metal fabrication industry, and that is our Expert product. This is not an individual product, but a whole network of components that allow the customer to configure a system that best matches their application. This does 2 things for the industry. It improves lead time by reducing the time it takes to put a system together. These components would be inventoried here in our Chicago facility for instant application to a customer's needs. Our goal is to get the lead time on this equipment down below 8 weeks, which is unheard of in our industry. So after a configuration is made through a web application, the system is built the way the customer wants it. Now we pull the components that are necessary to build that system and put them on a truck and get them to the customer. So we take out a couple of steps of the process by doing that, and that speeds delivery to the customer. By having this product en masse in our warehouse, it also reduces the cost. So now some of that stuff that was not reachable that CLOOS does by a starting customer or a customer on their second robot is now within reach through this Expert system. So that reduction in price and lowering of lead time has now opened up CLOOS type of solutions to a much bigger market.